Okay, I'm predicting the Dallas Cowboys record. So looking at their roster actually does not look that bad. It looks pretty similar to last year. Also have a couple veteran pieces. But starting with their offense, Dak Prescott obviously. To me, is a very good quarterback, although he does struggle a little bit against better teams. Ezekiel Elliott is currently their starting running back, so I don't expect him to do a lot of running. Wide receivers are pretty good with CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks, and their offensive line, even though they lost Tyron Smith, Steely should do a pretty good job. They still have Zach Martin. I expect their offensive line to be at least above average. Their defense also looks pretty similar. They do have some superstars like Diggs, Bland, Micah Parsons, but other than that, they have a couple veterans guys like Kendricks, but I their defense really didn't improve from last year, so I expect a pretty similar team to last year. But obviously, some regression is going to happen. But you have your first game versus the Browns. Browns to me are a very good team, especially their defense at home. Myles Garrett, I think, will cause problems for Steely. And even though Deshaun Watson is his first game back, Nick Chubb's first game back, I expect the Browns defense to hold their own versus that Cowboys offense, especially at home. So I'm taking the Browns here. Then week two versus the Saints. Saints to me aren't that much of a good team. They're kind of mediocre to average of a team. Um, Cowboys should beat them. Cowboys are the more talented team. Saints defense is good, but their offense really is kind of lackluster. So I expect that Dallas Cowboys defense to do good. So I'm going to take the Cowboys here, especially with home field advantage. Then you have them versus the Ravens. Ravens also lost a couple of pieces, but to me they're still more talented than the Cowboys. But I don't see the Cowboys defense stopping Derrick Henry or Lamar Jackson. Last year the Cowboys defense or weakness on their defense was their running defense, and I expect that to continue this year. I don't think they can contain Lamar Jackson or Derrick Henry, and that offense is just not going to be good enough versus that Ravens defense. So I'm taking the Ravens here. Then you have week four versus the Giants. Definitely a trap game for the Cowboys. Giants have home field advantage on a very short week. Cowboys have to travel way up northeast. But Giants, they are not a good team right now. Daniel Jones, as long as he doesn't kill the Cowboys defense with his legs, he's not that good. That Giants defense isn't anything to scoff at, but that Cowboys offense shouldn't have too much trouble with that Giants defense. So I'm taking the Cowboys here. Then week five versus the Steelers. Um, Steelers are another team that's very tough, especially at home. Their defense has been really good or good the last couple of seasons, especially guys like TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward can definitely cause problems for Dak. However, I don't trust the Steelers quarterback at all. Both Justin Fields and Russ likes to hold onto the ball, and that's bad news for them since Micah Parsons is going to cause havoc. So because of that, I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys here. Then you have Week 6 versus the Lions. Lions are coming off a bye. To me, I think the Lions are going to avenge that loss they had last year versus the Cowboys. Um, Lions, they improved. They have a lot of young pieces, and I think Cowboys getting a little bit older and not doing well versus good teams. I'm going to take the Lions here. Then you have them versus the Niners. Niners are arguably the best team right now. They usually dominate the Cowboys. Cowboys are coming off a bye, which helps with that West Coast time zone. But Niners, their defense with Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Hufanga should cause problems for Dak, especially with zero run game coming from the Cowboys. And Brock Purdy with that efficient off. Christian McCaffrey, I don't think the Cowboys will be able to stop. So I'm taking the Niners here. Then week 9 versus the Falcons. This is a very interesting game. It could be a very good game. It could be a very bad game. Falcons, they do definitely have the talent. They have defense. AJ Terrell should bounce back. Jesse Bates. The Cowboys passing attack may struggle a little bit. But Falcons, I'm not sure how Kirk Cousins is going to do. Falcons have the pieces, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to put it together, especially against a very good Cowboys defense at rushing the passer. So I'm going to take the Cowboys here, squeaking out a win. Then you have Week 10 versus the Eagles. Eagles and Cowboys always play tough. Whenever they play, it's always going to be a close game. It's always going to be a good game. I believe they're going to split. I'm going to have the Cowboys winning the first game. Then you have them versus the Texans. Ooh, a Texas battle right here. To me, these teams are going in kind of opposite direction. The Texans are improving a lot, and I expect that trio wide receivers and Joe Mixon to cause problems for the Cowboys defense, and that Cowboys offense I think is better than the Texans defense, so it's going to be a high scoring shootout game on prime time. This is going to be a very good game, but I think CJ Stroud is going to lead them to the win over Dak Prescott, so I'm going to take the Texans here. Then you have them versus the Commanders. I'm still not confident in the Commanders. I think Jaden Daniels is going to struggle versus a very good pass rushing Dallas defense, and that Washington defense just is not that good. Their defense was like the worst last year, and they didn't really improve it too much. So I'm taking the Cowboys here. Then Thursday night versus the Giants. Pretty opposite story. The Giants this time have to travel to Dallas. Dallas is the better team. This should be an easy win by the Cowboys. Then Week 14 versus Cincinnati. This is very good game. Cincinnati do have to travel to Dallas, but Cincinnati, they have a very prolific passing offense. I'm not sure how well Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are going to go up against Bland and Diggs. Could be very good or could be bad, but that Bengals defense is solid, very solid. It's going to be a tight game regardless, and I don't trust the Cowboys in tight games, so I'm going to take the Bengals here. Then you have Week 15 versus the Panthers. To me, Panthers just aren't up there competing with the Cowboys yet. Could be a trap game, but Cowboys are just too talented to lose this. I'm going to take the Cowboys here. Then you have Week 16 versus the Buccaneers. Like I said in the Buccaneers video, I really do not trust that Bucs defense. I think Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb's gonna have a great game versus that Bucs secondary, and Bucs offense, similar to the Cowboys, don't really have a run game at all, and I don't think they're good enough to beat the Cowboys using just their offense. So I'm gonna take the Cowboys here. Then Week 17 versus the Eagles, like I said, I believe they're gonna split. I had the Cowboys winning the first game, so I have the Eagles winning the second game. And then finally, Week 18, Commanders versus Cowboys. Pretty much what I said earlier in the first matchup. Commanders, they're still rebuilding. Their team is just not that good compared to the Cowboys, so I'm taking the Cowboys here. So Indian have the Cowboys going 10-7, 5-1 in the division, 5-4 at home, and 5-3 away.